Are you on the edge of your seat? Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams, covering today's latest trends in location-based entertainment. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire. All right, everyone, let's buckle up.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to Sound Off with Kevin Williams. This is episode number 113 for March 10th, 2026. Kevin, my friend, how are you doing?
Very well. Very spring-like day here in London. I hope the weather is good where you
are. It is going back to spring-like. We had a bit of a heat wave last week, so it's nice for it to finally get back to where it should be. It was a little bit concerning there for a minute that we were just going to skip over spring and go right into summer in March. So
it feels like that normally. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. How are you going to change my mind?
Well, read the title carefully, everyone, but cocktails are more impactful than sports bars in the new industry. So if you're running a facility, it's more impactful to have a cocktail bar than maybe it is to have your traditional sports bar. Am I wrong?
Well, you're talking to a cocktail guy, so you're never going to be wrong with me if you're serving up a cocktail. But no, I would totally, especially if we're talking about in the social entertainment, competitive socializing space, cocktails are 100% more impactful and more important than having a sports bar viewing area. This is, people are there to spend time with each other, to play games with each other, and also to have good drinks and good food while doing it. And, the at least in those environments, in what we'll call, but I think you're calling the new industry, sitting down on a chair and watching a game with a beer in my hand is not what I'm going to those venues for.
And it's not as profitable. So where many people will have jumped by reading these titles and think the more profitable, impactful just means it stands out, it's speaking differently than the norm, and it offers something unique to your audience that's coming in. Everybody has been to the traditional sports bar, and I would even argue the modernized sports bar, the picture that I'm using here of a sports bar, is a modern take on the traditional sports bar approach. It has the big screens, it has the stools by the side of the bar, but it is designed in a much more modern aesthetic. Again, cocktails are going to be more profitable for your business in the short term and in the long term, because no matter what you say, Joe Schmo sitting at that desk bar with his brewski in front of that brewski is going to last a lot longer than Charlie and her friends buying a virgin cocktail at that bar and then coming back a couple of minutes more to buy another one. So again, we have to go for horses for courses, and we also have to realize that we're in the hospitality sector, a realization that is going to be very prevalent this month.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, coming up after the quick break, we'll dive right into the trends. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Well, thank you, Intercard, and straight in to the economy. And, anyone having a quiet Friday a couple of days ago in England was minding their own business, and then World War whatever started up. I'm not here to go into what the conflict was about. I'm here to look at the impact that this particular measure has had. And the first thing that came very clear on the 28th, on Saturday, and on the Sunday was that the air corridors were being closed down. Airlines decided not to go there, and the list of countries went on like a who's who in the region. And remember, this is an area where the theme park and amusement and entertainment industry had a lot of interest, especially at this time of the year, because boom, we had the first statements on the 2nd of March from the trade association, saying that they were on a watching brief regarding what they were going to be doing regarding their plans at the end of this month to hold their inaugural trade event, as well as the obvious impacts that this would have in May if this particular conflict, the trouble situation, was going to continue. Some doves and some hawks had differing views of how long this would be, surgical strike or quick kill. Whatever the scenario was, it's escalated. And we have seen now the US give an alert to its citizenry in the region within 14 of the countries. I know that that's increased since recording this, to leave if possible. And we in the UK have instigated the same process with our citizens, and other countries are doing that. And it became obvious that it was untenable for the trade associations to think that they were going to be able to get away with that. Now, that said, at the time of recording this, an official statement from IALPA regarding the cancellation has not been made. What the situation is that a number of very prominent exhibitors at the show have announced that they will not be attending the show, that they have cancelled for various reasons, and they turned the arguments to IALPA to give their official statement. Many of us are surprised why it has taken so long for an official statement to come, but there are a lot of wheels in motion here, and large amounts of money will be impacted by the cancellation of this trade event. And then a couple of seconds ago from putting this deck together, we suddenly got the announcement that our friends at the Themed Entertainment Association had cancelled their plans to hold their companion event. They are partnered with IALPA a number of occasions where they will hold Themed Entertainment Association events around the same time as IALPA events, and there had been plans for their Middle East event to take place, which sadly did not come to fruition. Going back to the core component here, this area was treated by many industries, investors within our sphere of influence as the fastest growing market for tourism, leisure, and entertainment. When you see missiles crashing into hotels within those catchments, when you see cruise ships full of tourists stranded and stuck and trying to work out how to evacuate, then we know that no matter how hopeful some were that this would be a short, sharp shock situation, that the reverberations from what is happening now will be felt for more than just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is obviously, without going into any thoughts or opinions on the current conflict, for our sector, especially its impact in Dubai, its impact in Abu Dhabi, for our leisure, hospitality, entertainment sector. This is a big impact. Because you mentioned it's the fastest growing region right now for our sector, and this just puts a full parking brake and into reverse at some level right now. Anyway, that momentum. And so it's disappointing. That being said, I think IAPA dodged a bullet, frankly, and I don't mean that actually, no pun unintended, I guess. But they did in that. I'm not sure that this Middle East Expo was going to be as successful as maybe they had hoped. At least this first one. I do believe that it will get its legs under it and it'll ramp up. But I think that this was probably actually really good. I do know that a number of their largest vendors, largest M&S suppliers who have been global exhibitors around and been multiple expos, were not planning on exhibiting. They were going to just send one or two people to watch the floor to get a sense for it and a sense for attendance. But you know what? Exhibitors brings attendance. And so if you don't have exhibitors, then there's going to be less attendance. And so I feel like it was probably a good thing that this had, this expo that ramped up really fast out of nowhere was put on hold.
Every cloud has a silver lining. From their point of view, this isn't a COVID moment. They're not going to be as much pained by the loss of so many shows at once. The trade association needs to show some leadership, though. I would argue that they needed to have moved a little faster than they have, but that's a personal opinion. I will just put this into a little bit more perspective. Some people haven't really been looking at the wider picture, but Walt Disney plans to build a major theme park entertainment prospect slap bang in one of the locations that is being hardest hit by this situation. Whatever happens next, how quickly this is resolved, hopefully in a positive direction, that does put pressure. This is, I would argue, the Disney Paris moment all over again, where Disney had the opportunity to build in Spain, where there was going to be better weather for their Euro Disney facility, and they decided at the last minute to move because of financial reasons to Paris. The same way there was another plan of where in the Middle East Disney could have opened up their first foray into this region, and they decided, again, courtesy of larger investment, to relocate it to Abu Dhabi. So we will need to see what ramifications hit. Moving on to the biz, and a lot of surprised individuals wandering around. Hey, it was going to be Netflix. Well, as we said, nothing was set in stone, and it was a very fluid situation. Surprise, surprise, the board went with the largest amount of money that was dropped in front of them. They took one look at the pot of cash, and the Paramount put in front of the Warner Brothers executive team, and they said, our shareholders will like that, and we will like that a lot. This is a marriage made in heaven. It is less politically challenging, shall we say. And Netflix went, hey, we're not getting into a bidding war. We weren't even going to be buying all of your operation. We were going to be cherry picking the bits that we wanted. This ain't worth it. Goodbye. And with that statement, we're backing out. Their stock numbers went up. Very telling.
Yeah.
Compared to Paramount, whose numbers have been impacted quite heavily by the announcement that they're going to be adding debt upon debt upon debt. The questions are which components are going to be kept and which are going to be farmed off, which IP is going to be changed, how much of an influence do you have after you've already blown 110 billion on this particular acquisition. A lot more questions with Paramount taking over Warner Brothers, I would argue, than if Netflix had just brought the bits that they wanted. And as always, the ramifications for us in the location-based entertainment industry are considerable. Paramount and Warner Brothers have very strong transmedia representation in our sector, from IP being used on theme park attractions to actual venues based upon the IP, how this will impact the Paramount range of facilities, how franchise agreements, and especially some new projects that Paramount was involved in discussing, how these will all be impacted by this, will be felt for some time. And there's always that one 10% chance that there may be a draw or a delay in this, as the governmental involvements, the European government, as well as the American government, will have to give scrutiny to this deal. There's always the danger, especially after the midterms, that something could act as a speed bump in this being a done deal. But I'm going to say it's as done as it's going to get so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to fly right through the the review. I mean, unless something happens in the administration in the next few years and they don't get this thing done and buttoned up in the next 6 months before midterms, which I'm sure they're trying to shoot for.
They're going to work hard on that.
This is going to get through with smooth sailing. I don't think I think this deal is happening. And from a debt standpoint, at least a good significant amount of the debt is daddy's debt, and so we could argue it's friendly debt. that's coming in here to buy, to buy this thing. So,
No such thing.
Little boy Ellison gets his Christmas present, and he gets to have fun with another big set of IP.
He gets fun with a new set of IP with a direction that is now going to be a little bit more focused away from the previous message that they've been trying, and we've already started to see the first victims. I agree, this is going to move so fast, it's going to mush your hair. But there is always the unknown. The Rumsfeldians are appearing at this point in time, and I would be cautious to say that it will be quick, smooth sailing. But I do believe that this is where we are going to be in 6 months' time. Moving on, and we touched upon this in the previous open and shut, but we can go into a little bit more detail. This was suddenly appeared on our radar as actually happening. To give a little bit more background, Six Flags Entertainment, during their recent investor call, had been asked a question by one of those investors regarding rumors that they were offloading at least 5 of their park operations, and they poo-pooed that and said it was rumor, speculation. They don't comment on that. But we knew that something was going on. We had found filings that there was a new brand being created for at least 5 of their current parks at that time. And then we woke up a couple of days ago to the news that they have decided to divest themselves, not of 5 now, but of 7 of their park operations, bringing the operation down now to 34 facilities. And this divesting, it's an interesting one. We're not given the full reason for the divesting. Is it because these were a drag, were felt surplus to operation, were vampiring or competing with other parks in the area owned by the operation? And the big question, that everybody is asking is, are these going to be closed down, or are these going to be sold off? And the rumor seems to be on the street that there is a third party in the wings that will be picking up these operations as going concern. This is as much information as we have at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. The little bit of research I was able to do here, recently, is that EPR Properties, they're a real estate investment trust, is actually making this acquisition. Right now, at least Wall Street Journal is reporting that there's, the acquisition is for all 7 of these parks for about 330 to 345 million. And this
whoa, for 7 facilities.
That is what Wall Street Journal is reporting anyway currently. So, and this is really just this is literally just hours ago that that it was revealed that EPR is the one that's making this acquisition. Now the question is still, they're not an operator, right? So they're a real estate investment trust. Will they bring in an operator, or will an operator come in and basically EPR is buying these and they're doing a lease back to a new operator for operating these parks? I would be very surprised if they're just going to raise the ground and put something else in these places. Most of these parks are not built in places that are going to support some sort of big retailtainment environment or some big warehousing district or whatever. So I would imagine that they are planning to do some kind of lease back to some new operator or existing operator.
Without going into too much detail, when digging out the information that they were looking at divesting a couple of weeks ago or months ago now, it was made clear to us that a new brand had been created, a unique brand that all of these venues were going to be going under. That type of thing means that you're going to be running those facilities as non-badged Six Flags facilities, and that would mean a third-party operator, in my estimations. But again, as Brandon has outlined, this is changing per hour, like most things seem to be doing in this life at the moment. Moving on, and we had a little bit more exposure of how some operations are finding the conditions. Our friends at United Parks and Resorts, they run quite a few of the more popular of the water parks. and water resort facilities, and they had to admit that their 2025 numbers didn't meet their expectations. They blamed a number of interesting areas why they were impacted in that neck of the woods. They tried the weather complaints. The weather was in the sky, and it wasn't the right type of weather. They blamed a number of things, international tourism, without really pointing to themselves as saying that they weren't offering the entertainment that the audience was expecting. Whatever the reasons, all eyes now will be fixed on what their 2026 numbers are like, to see if this is a serious trend impacted by the lack of tourism in their key areas.
Yeah, I mean, we can blame. I mean, this just looks like the Spider-Man pointing, at each
Yes.
other, at that.
Sure.
Here's all the different things going on. Look, yeah, negative international tourism trends, sure. Volatile weather, yeah, sure, right. This is what every single outdoor park has to deal with, all the way down to a 100,000 square foot or 5-acre FEC, right? Is volatile weather. Like, this, you deal with it, you build it into your model. This is not a surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise for United Parks and Resorts. So,
and you change your pricing accordingly.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, they didn't meet their expectations, so fucking fix something.
Yeah, and if you don't bleep fix something, there are lots of individuals in their C-suite operation and their board of investors that will bleep in guarantee that it gets changed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new effer in charge. But anyway, personal opinion, it is a traded company. It's that Gender moment. I think I'm going to just dedicate one page in every sound off to Gender. I think it's just going to, we'll have a little stock ticker in the corner. We'll have which company. Anyway, the Gender made some announcements. We talked about the last sound off about the Player One turning into Kittleton and the unification of their operation. And now we get more transparency on what happens to Gender North Americas. That S is important. And we're now hearing that this is going to be the consolidating operation. So the Kittleton US and Canadian operations will fall under all of this. And that also the Gender Americas will take full control of the 12,000 mini locations, mini arcade locations that they have in that particular area. Very telling that this consolidation is creating a very strong power structure in this neck of the woods. And to consolidate Gender's interest in North America, we suddenly get the cinema moment. For those of you who've been following the bingo card, Gender picked up Gaga. Who comes up with this? Anyway, Gaga, which is the cinema IP and entertainment component of the Japanese operation, and they have just turned around and said, now as they're part of Gender Group, that they are going to be bringing over certain of their Japanese IP films and distributing and having them screened in over 600 cinemas in the US and Canada. This is a momentous moment. This is the K-pop Demon Hunter moment, where the audience is keen and hot to particular Asian IP properties, and you will be able to go to a cinema with your friends and watch that particular anime on the big screen. This will appeal to a very niche audience that are in very large numbers, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a secret revenue generator for the Gender Americas operation, having access to this kind of cinematic property.
This is, I did not know, first of all, that Genda also owned Gaga or however you want to say it. But it actually is a brilliant match at some level, right? So they're going to bring all of this IP, this Japanese anime IP, over here, get it into cinemas, get kids and young adults and adults to watch it, and then want to go to one of the many Genda outlets, Kittleton's, for example, one of the Kittleton's, and go and get this IP. So it's a full circle. They are controlling the distribution of this anime. They're not out there creating it, at least at this point, but they're at least controlling the distribution. And then they are offering lots of opportunities to buy that in retail through Gashapon and Cranes and everything else.
I'm looking forward to the first retail entertainment facility that works out. They've just missed out on a big opportunity, and they will beg to have Genda merch as available product. As we talked about in previous Sound Off, Genda had increased its partnership with toy and figurine developers, and those fall directly into this. Our friends at Sega are working on a similar business model where they will make sure that their IP is available mostly through their stores. And we do know of our friends at Bandai Namco who have the Namco cross-store operation. This is the beginning of a momentous move, and I wouldn't be surprised if our friends in the branding and licensing industry take a lot more interest in what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So you eat all of the breadsticks, excuse me, and you play a couple of games of golf and roll some pickleball, but you're putting on those pounds. Well, our friends at Five Irons have done a deal with their New York facility where you can move into their private members gym fitness facility next door. I'm not sure if this is just a one-off because they're very close to a members gym and they thought it was a kind of synergetic, i.e., maybe you do a couple of lines of golf and then you go in and do some exercise and then you shower off and come back in to enjoy some cocktails and some bowlingo. Whatever the concept, this isn't the only time we're seeing sportainment being added. And we even now have news that an Evo facility is going to be putting in a sports facility next door to one of their operations, a pickleball court, with a partnership with a particular company there. So, this is sportainment writ large, but again, the jury's still out whether this is a serious move or an opportunity that they've built upon.
I'm hoping it's just a random opportunity, that this isn't somehow a part of an expanding business model. Already, Five Iron has, we know, is already expanded into the duck pin and other, in other assets. They have, in some of their locations, they have some other attractions besides duck pin as well. And we've already talked about the branding issue that they have with Five Iron Golf and in their logo, given the fact that they are now blending other attractions. You throw in some fitness and it just gets messy. This is actually a stupid mix, I think, personally. So let's just hope that this is synergistic for this particular Rockefeller Center.
I hope so too. And again, as we said previously, our friends at Five Iron are going to need to have a sit down about their brand positioning and what they want to put in. Don't go for the spaghetti moment at this point. You really need to come up with a dedicated approach. Lovely friends at Merlin and the restructuring of their relationships with various projects has gathered momentum. We suddenly woke up to the announcement that they would be pulling out of offering management services to the Amsterdam attraction, a troubled attraction. This was a soaring experience, flying over Holland. The concept really opened up in 2017. It's gone through a couple of management problems. Then Merlin stepped in to offer their expertise and they put it back on the straight and narrow as an effective installation, addition to their retinue. And then suddenly we wake up to the news that they're deciding to move on, that they're now handing it back to the existing management as a daily control, and Merlin are focusing on their core business in other areas. And that kind of adds to the completion of the deal of Merlin separating from their control over the Lego Discovery Zone operation. Again, we charted this last year when we broke the story back in September that it was going to be happening, and we raised an eyebrow. We've got a little bit more detail that the 29 facilities were acquired by Lego for $250 60 million pounds, dollars. It was a different number, obviously, in pounds, and I questioned at the time back in September that this seemed a little light. Was debt involved in this? Was other things going into this? No more detail has been given. It's just been cemented that this separation has taken part, and the big question is, if you've lost the discovery zones, how long before you lose the resort business as well?
That is the question, right? They, in the press release that came out confirming the completion of this, of this acquisition, they reaffirmed their love for Lego and that they will continue to operate the Legoland parks. We will see, but it does lead. I think Lego is making the same play that Hasbro has done and Mattel has done, and that is to directly enter the location-based entertainment and transmedia area themselves. And so it would be, I think, just a limited period of time before Lego gets their sea legs under them with regards to these discovery centers and says, we have bigger aspirations. We want to take back control of our larger theme parks as well.
Very telling how that press release was worded, I thought. It was extreme positivity, but also very aimed at Lego defining exactly what was going on, where compared to the information we had back in September that was a little bit more fluffy. Merger and acquisitions abound at this point in time, and really the March, April, May period is going to be pretty heavy on that. If you're not familiar in Europe with the Ninja Kids experience, they have about, last count, about 20 facilities out there offering an active entertainment, trampoline and climbing wall experience. And they've gone out and consumed, another operation in their bailiwick. And flight adventure parks, they have about 11 parks, or should I just say active entertainment facilities with climbing and ball pits and stuff like that, foam pits more. It's one that I keep a tentative eye on, because a number of these facilities now are migrating from the trampoline to active entertainment, and then from active entertainment to gamification and exergaming. And we know that some of these sites have Valo motion systems inside them, so they kind of fall into my bailiwick. But this is just another example of the consolidation that's taking part in that particular industry that we should be mindful of.
Yeah. Interesting that I would have expected actually Flight to go the other direction. So that Flight would have acquired Ninja Kids Action Park versus Ninja Kids acquiring Flight. But, sometimes you get these opportunities where the ownership is ready to retire, exit, etc., and somebody else happened to have a little bit of extra cash.
If you'd gone back to a couple of open and shuts, you would have noticed that we'd mentioned that Flight had lost one of their venues to acquisition. So yes, I would say that maybe you're pointing closer to the reality of the situation, which is that this management feels that this is more advantageous than fighting the battle themselves. And then we touched upon this in open and shut previously, but we can go a little bit more into the meat of the situation. Our friends at AMC, in their latest reporting, gave us a picture of woe. They were looking at a 10% drop in attendance during the 2025 Q4 period, or ending Q4 period. They turned around and said no bones about this. Their CFO stated that they will be shuttering a number of their locations, while rumor has it internally the company is now looking at diversification of its cinema offering and how best it can try and right this depletion of attendance. And that kind of mirrors what we're seeing across a lot of the traditional cinema operators, that they are seeing in the ranges of between 10 and 15% shortfall in attendance. And we were lucky enough to did a report, their big screen shift report a couple of days ago, and that gave us quite a clear picture of how some of these cinema chains are experiencing the shortfall in audiences. They can't blame the weather. They can't blame international tourism. They have only one person to blame, which is the audience made it very clear back in the noughties that the entertainment cinema experience wasn't cutting mustard and wasn't worth their disposable income, and that things needed to improve. The promises of new films and new franchise properties coming along and saving the day did not materialize. And now I think that all of those operations, bar one, are going to have to bite the bullet and look at Cinetainment as a serious opportunity for their flagship sites. The reason I left out Cinemark is because Cinemark's already made that transition and is benefiting from that.
Yeah. I think what's really telling actually here is I was doing some quick research on IMAX. And IMAX has actually seen the opposite issue, in which they had a phenomenal 2025. So maybe a bit of an outlier given some of the films that came out in IMAX last year, but they have a 40% year-over-year increase in global box office and a 16% growth in total revenue, which, adjusting for EBITDA, is about a 33% increase. And so I think that is telling in that there's two audiences. There's the audience that's looking for the blended entertainment model, which is where we're seeing the Cinetainment and mixed attractions, mixed use coming into play here. Or maybe we'll go see a movie and play some bowling, or maybe we'll just go play bowling and not see a movie today. But they're the nearest FEC to me. But then you have the audience that wants to just really experience a phenomenal film in a full IMAX deeply immersive experience and film experience. And so I think that this they really are going to need to go in two directions. IMAX will continue to deliver that really deeply immersive film experience, while these others are going to have to cater to the more casual consumer.
The experience. IMAX has always been about the experience, seeing a film in an experience that you can't emulate at home. The argument is with our friends in the more traditional cinema, what do they bring to the table to make an experience? And at the moment, sticky floors and expensive popcorn ain't it. For those of you that are interested in the tourist of pain and where some of these companies fit in, there it is. Though I would actually argue that our Merlin one needs to move a little bit and our Paramount needs to move a bit, but it was done more for aesthetics. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, coming up after the other quick break, we'll continue with some more trends. Power up your game floor with Arcades by Alan One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Alan One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-one.com to learn more. That's allen-one.com.
Thank you, Alan One. And we jump into the tech trends. So I commented on the last sound off, watch this space, after the founder of Meta and Facebook got lambasted by the judge. And I sort of intimated that many people said that there was no way to police this technology or to protect yourself against the AI smart glass revolution, as it were. Well, someone's come up with an app. There's always an app for that will actually notify you, give you an alert if you are in close proximity to the Bluetooth signals that are associated with AI smart glasses. A very useful tool. And I've been looking at this tool, and some in the theme park and entertainment industry have been looking at this tool, because we do not want to have the problems that are exploding at the moment in reporting. We are hearing lots of stories now of people using their smart glasses in inappropriate areas and locations and collecting inappropriate information for private viewing. And then this was all doubled upon only a couple of days ago with the announcement that the companies that have been collecting the data for these smart glass systems have been having to watch this information as it is being compiled by their AI smart tools, overseeing the collection of this. So if your glasses are still on when you go to the bathroom, then there is a strong possibility, even though you thought that that information was only for your usage, that it may have actually been watched by an external corporation associated with the data collection. A lot of questions have been raised over a lot of situations, and questions in media articles are really pointing to the point that this is an issue. And having a tool on that tells you that people are wearing these glasses and also possibly recording without your permission is going to be very profitable. And I'm telling anyone now that is walking around AEI with these glasses on, I will be asking them to take them off if they're asking me any questions.
Yeah, that's interesting. Clever little app that's been built here, but
the first of many.
Yeah, I mean, but I will. Well, I think it's too early yet, I think, to see how this will all shake out. However, I do not. We are humans, are tool users. Humans are technology. We are basically becoming cyborgs through our use of technology, whether we're embedding that technology into our bodies or not. It's only a matter of time before these things become relatively ubiquitous, and if not through the form of glasses, then they'll come through the form of contacts. And so we are. If there's a way to get more information faster and improve our cognitive load and ability through easy access, through AI and everything else, we will continue to do that. That is what we do, and we'll continue to push the front end. And so I think that while I appreciate something like nearby glasses, I believe that that side of the world will be pushing a boulder up a hill like Sisyphus, and will just be pushing against the world.
Totally agree. No matter how much I may balk at people having that technology, it is going to find a way in if it is a tool, if it is a benefit, if it does bring a benefit to its user compared to not having that. That's the reason why we have mobile phones. No matter how much we may balk at the tracking tool that we have allowed into our lives, and a tool that even now may be recording this very conversation without my knowledge, purely because of the benefits that it brings to the table. What I am saying now is if we don't lay down the guidelines early, then we're going to have a baptism of fire for this technology. And I wouldn't be surprised if the concern over Meta generally may impact their tools, where other companies, their AI glasses wouldn't have got a second look. Pardon the pun. Our friends at Round One in Japan have been embracing social media and have come up with some new packages for those individuals in their Japanese facilities that kind of link if you post you're having a good time kind of fandom, enjoyment, social media circulation, then this is linked to an application that can generate points. You kind of see where this is going. Cheers Spot is being trialed at the moment at selected Round One facilities in Japan, and if it does well with their core audience, then don't be surprised if a translated version of that pops up here in the US and Europe.
Yeah, it's not I don't know that I have much to say about this.
We've talked about axe throwing. We have darts. Why not have a bit of archery? Well, our friends Lasertron have done their archery system, and we have another company entering the market. Archery Time, a European company, has dropped into 30 facilities around Europe their competitive socializing archery system. It is full on. It is it is a bow, it is pointed arrows, and it is a fiber wall. The big difference, of course, is projection mapping, where games or sports are projected on that wall that are tailored to suit the market. From the video of this system in operation, it is archery, but with a competitive spin. You know, it is the alternative of having clay pigeon shooting, but the difference here is that is a pointed arrow being shot at, and it does need a higher level of skill, I would say, than wielding a plastic shotgun. I would also argue that the company behind this needs to work a little bit more on its themality and its space model. And maybe it will have to have the big argument about, does it need to be firing real arrows at the screen, or maybe a softer approach would be more inclusive to the core audience that they're going to try and attract. But again, axe throwing has survived through my raised eyebrow of mixing alcohol and bladed weapons, and I'm sure that no one's ever been hurt by an arrow in the eye.
Well, nobody's ever lived to tell it if they have anyway.
Yeah, no complaints.
But look, I mean, I haven't obviously played Archery Time. Their some of their gameplay looks interesting, at least based on their website. But I did get a chance to play Lasertron's Crazy Arrows at Expo in Orlando, and I'll tell you what, I want a real arrow. I don't want a soft-tipped arrow or anything else. Just like when I'm playing darts, I want to play with steel-tipped darts, not plastic-tipped darts. I hate that. It's a much better experience. And so I want a real arrow, and it was a blast. I loved Crazy Arrows. I thought it was a lot of fun. And so I imagine that if I can shoot a bow and arrow at a big screen like this at Archery Time, then I would have just as much fun. So I think it does depend. I think your point is right about the facility and the themality, and probably the lack of or mix of F&B that exists here. It's not clear to me that they have really anything more than a bunch of bays for shooting archery.
It needs to be packaged correctly. I have to accept that no matter how much I was concerned by the liability and waivers that you had to sign for axe throwing and ninja star throwing and knife throwing, they proved popular. Those real weighted blended weapons against the wooden target, either supported by projection mapping or just done dry, talk to a visceral aspect of the entertainment market. And the same goes for here with the archery system. I think you're not going to be able to get away with it. There are examples of non-pointed arrow systems out in the market that are used more as sportainment lightweights rather than full entertainment base. But again, I wanted to bring this to our audience attention as an interesting opportunity out there. Yeah, the axe throwing can get together with the blade throwing, and then we need real guns, and then everybody's happy. Shuffly hit me up and gave me some better pictures of their grand shuffle in the Netherlands. It looks beautiful. We've got an invite to go up there when we're in the neck of the woods to see what they've done. They are really looking at this as their entry with the partners into the electric shuffle bullywig. They are really trying to create what I would say high quality VIP entertainment environment. And what can I say more than what we've already said? Nice themality. We need to see what the return on investment is like. Yeah. I mean, look, it looks like they took basically, they took lessons from Flight Club and from Electric Shuffle. I feel like we are looking at a shuffleboard version of Flight Club as far as the aesthetics inside. So they kind of like flip flopped. So it'd be interesting to see it. I think what they've done with Grand Shuffle looks really nice, well appointed, and we'll see how well they work with operations. Well, we need to get out there. Give us a ticket and we'll get out there. How about that, guys? Anyway, we're getting closer and closer by the seconds to the great exhibition in Las Vegas. Amusement Expo will be upon us soon. On the 16th, I'm doing a session that is kind of apposite of what we've been talking about here and what we've been writing about recently, which is how amusement fits into the social entertainment component going forwards. Can it survive? Will it be superseded? And also, what are the key trends that we're seeing there? And we will go into more detail about all of this closer to the time. We're also pushing very heavily the Amusement World Expo, the Augmented World Expo, that is going to be touching on the XR explosion. And there have been some developments recently in the XR scene that have direct impacts on location-based entertainment that will hopefully be reflected. We've got the first of our key LBE exhibitors, and I hope after AWE to go into more detail about that. Anyway, you can hunt us down via our QR code as always. If I have got something wrong, there are some stingers out there up to date. There is some entertainment social arenas out there. And also, if you have direct questions, our email is always available for you guys.
Perfect. All right. Well, that was another great sound off, and tune in next week for sound off number 114.
See you then.